the Marley Bird YouTube channel, brought to you by Red Heart Yarns. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite easy designs, the Shivering Chic shawl. This shawl is made up of 6 beautiful colors using Red Heart's Chic Sheep by Marley Bird yarn. You can see that the combination of colors here really makes this shawl pop. You can choose any of the 24 different colors available in Chic Sheep by Marley Bird yarn, and you will not be disappointed. This particular shawl is very easy in its construction. We'll start here at the center and then continue out, and as we increase in the center and on the outside, we get a really great diagonal shape. And we can finish it off with some really great tassels. This is a free pattern available over on redheart.com. You can find a link to the pattern and a full list of the materials in the video description box right below this video. While you're down there, smash that like button and let other people know you enjoyed this video. This is a great first-time shawl project for any crocheter. If you can double crochet, then you can make this shawl, I promise. I will show you how to work through the stitches of this shawl, how to do your increases, how to change colors, how to weave in all of those extra tails you're gonna have, and then last but not least, I'll show you how to make a really great tassel. So go ahead, get your materials and your pattern, and let's go ahead and jump in. I seriously love this shawl pattern. It's such an easy stitch because it's half of a granny square. So if you've made granny squares before, this is going to be a little bit familiar to you, but we're just going to make it to where we're working like on the diagonal of the granny square. So let me show you where we're going to start. For this shawl, you actually start at the center back. So we will begin with these chain stitches and work them into an adjustable ring. Then we will work a series of double crochet clusters, and then as we continue out, we'll have more and more clusters going on. You will change colors every row, and you do not carry your color up, so it is important that you learn how to change colors appropriately and how to weave in all of your ends so that way it looks nice and clean when you're finished. We will begin with the adjustable ring. When I make an adjustable ring, I like to think of it as a partial slip knot. So I go through the motions like I'm making a slip knot. Only this time, as I pull the second string through, I'm not going to let this hole collapse that I've created with my fingers. Where the yarn crossed over, I'm actually going to pinch it and just make sure it stays open. Once I do that, I have that little hole open there, okay, and it's pinched. I can go ahead and begin working my stitches. So I will chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This counts as a double crochet and a chain 1. To make sure that I keep my edges straight, I'm going to use a stitch marker to mark the double crochet. All you need to do is take your stitch marker and not in the chain behind your hook, but the one behind that, because that's the 3rd chain, I'm going to place my stitch marker in that, okay? Because that would be the top of my double crochet. And you'll notice at this point in the pattern, there are instructions written within parentheses. That indicates everything that's within those parentheses you will be doing into one stitch or one space. For this example, it'll be into this big loop, this space that we have kept open when we didn't close our slip knot. So we want to do 3 double crochets to begin. So I yarned over my hook and I complete 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3 double crochet. Chain 1. And then I do 3 more double crochet, all into this same space, this big loop here that we're just holding open. What's really cool with the adjustable ring, when I pull this closed, it's going to cinch up really nice. Once you've done that second set of 3 double crochets, you chain 1, and you will do 1 more double crochet into that loop. Now, keeping my hook in place, I go ahead and grab the tail that I have been holding onto, right? And I give it a tug. And what this is doing is it's pulling that string there, nice and tight. And there we go. So now this is the start of my shawl. Now that I've showed you how to do the adjustable ring, could I have just done a chain 5 and then worked all of my stitches into the very first chain I created? Absolutely. I just like the way it looks with the adjustable ring. So I will leave it up to you what you decide to do, but if you want to do the adjustable ring, now you know how to do it. Now I'm at the end of my row, so it's time for me to change colors. There are many different ways to change colors, and in this pattern, I wrote it so that way you finish off your work and you rejoin with a slip stitch and chain up. You can either do it that way or you can change colors in the last stitch of the row. I will leave it up to you. But because the pattern is written to finish off and then join with the slip stitch and continue on, that's how I'm going to show you how to do it in this video. So at the end of this row, I will go ahead and I'm going to fasten off. So I go ahead and chain 1. I will leave at least 4 to 6 inches of a tail, give that a tug just like so, and that is complete, okay? So I will grab the next color. Let's go ahead and grab green tea. I like using green tea. I will turn my work, so I'm going to turn my work, okay? And I will join with the slip stitch into this first double crochet right here. So I'm going to go into that double crochet, grab my new yarn, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and draw through that loop. So I just joined with a slip stitch. Now I carry on and I chain 4, 3, 4, and just like before, I want to add my stitch marker to the third chain there. That's just going to help me out as far as knowing where the last stitch of my row is. Once I have done that, I can carry on in the pattern. And you'll notice this is where there are instructions in parentheses. So you want to make sure that whatever's in the parentheses, you do within one space or one stitch. We begin by placing 3 double crochets into this chain 1 space. So I will place 3 double crochets all into this chain 1 space. Once I've done that, I will not chain 1 in before I get to the next space. So I'm going to skip over all of these double crochets and come over here to this space. And this is the center point of my shawl. So at this point, I will always be working an increase. The increase is a set of 3 double crochets all into that space. Chain 1, and then 3 double crochets into that space again. Can you see that? So that's the point of our shawl. Now I would continue on. I don't do a chain 1. I come all the way over here to this chain 1 space. So I skip all of those doubles, go into this chain 1 space. I work 3 double crochets, now I have to chain 1 and place a double crochet into that marked stitch, into the third chain of that turning chain. So I've already marked it, so I don't have to look for it. I can just go right into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, complete my double crochet, and bada bing, I have my second row complete. Now at this point, I would go ahead, finish off my work, join a new color, and continue back. So let's go ahead and do that. I will cut my yarn, leaving 5 to 6 inches. I like to do a chain 1 and pull that up. All right, so we have that. Grab my next color and let's grab Polo. This is a good color. I like this color. So I'm grabbing Polo. This is the, it's not as light as the green tea, but it's not as dark as Velvet. I will turn my work. And going into the last double crochet I completed, I go ahead, join with a slip stitch. So I yarn over, pull up my new color, yarn over, pull through the loop on my hooks. There's my slip stitch, and I carry on. So here we go. We'll start off with the chain 4. And then we will put 3 double crochets all into this chain 1 space. Now, we are going to skip all of these double crochets, and into the space between that set of 3 double crochets and that set of 3 double crochets, we will do another set of 3 double crochets. So we're just putting it into the space between the 2 sets of 3 from the previous row. Can you see that? Now, once I've done that, I am going to go to the next chain 1 space, which is at my center, and this is where I will work my increase. Remember, my increase is always 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, all into that center stitch. Once I've completed my center, I then carry on. I skip those 3, go into the space between that set of 3 and that set of 3, and work 3 double crochets. The space between all of these 3 double crochets, that's where we're going to be working into as you carry on with this pattern. Right here, since I put that one there, I'm coming over here. I'm going to go into this big space, place 3 double crochets. And this is my side edge, remember? So we end it with the chain 1, and then you'll double crochet into that marked stitch. Okay? Now, you'll notice over here, let me put this down and get all the tails out of the way. I did not mark my stitch over here. It was just purely, I forgot. So what I could do is I can take this marker out from down here and just move it up. So I can count 1, 2, 3. This is my 3rd chain, and I can place my marker there. Now, do you have to work those markers? No, you don't need to add the markers. I just find it easier for beginners to know exactly where that stitch is that they're going to be working into. If you don't want to use the markers, you absolutely don't have to. Now, at the end of this row, you would then go ahead, finish off this color, just like you've been doing all along. And then turn your work, rejoin with a slip stitch if your next color into that double crochet space, and then carry on. One thing I am going to suggest right here is don't wait to the very end to weave in your ends. It is just extra work that you really don't want to have to do at the very end of your project when all you want to do is just be done with it. So at this point, I'm going to show you how to weave in the ends that we've already created, so that way you can take a time as you're working along in your shawl, and maybe you work 5 rows and you decide, okay, now I'm going to weave in my ends, and you work 5 rows and you weave in your ends. It just makes it for a much more pleasant crocheting experience when you're at the end and you only have those few ends to weave in. Weaving in your ends or your tails is not a difficult process. You want to use a bent tip tapestry needle. That's the easiest to weave in my opinion. Grab one of your tails and pinch it around the eye of the bent tip tapestry needle. Take that eye, wiggle it down, and you have that little pinched off, and it's threaded. Now, working along the color that is the same color as the yarn you're weaving in, I like to go ahead, you can work down the color in this direction. Notice I'm just going through all of that. Now what I like to do when I'm working with stitches like these is I will actually go up the post of the stitch. Can you see that? I went up the post of the stitch. I will then scoot over, go down the post of the next stitch. Then I scoot over and I go up the post of the next one. It's sort of like a snake, okay? I'm really ensuring that this is not going to come undone. I then will go ahead and working down the very edge of my work. So for this side here, these are chain stitches. I'm working down those actual chain stitches. I go down and then I'm going to go back up those same chain stitches, and this time I'm splitting my yarn ever so slightly. And when I come back up, that's nice and secure. I can go ahead, knit my yarn, and be done. What I've done here is I've made sure that these stitches, see how they still can move independently. They aren't like super tight, but my yarn has gone this way. It went up, it went down, it went up, and then it went back down, and then it went back up. So it's got a long path to travel before it will actually fall out. See why it's so important that you actually weave in your ends and not just crochet over top of them? Let me show you how to weave in the end for the adjustable ring, because this is very important that you do it correctly so that it doesn't come undone. When weaving in the tail of an adjustable ring, it's very important you not only just circle around where the adjustable ring is because it starts to open. Can you see that? You want to make sure that you're also weaving in your ends within the post of the stitches you've created whenever possible. Go ahead and take your bend tip tapestry needle. Once you have your needle, pinch your yarn around the eye of the needle and wiggle it into place. Now, I will go ahead and go through the stitches that you did create within the adjustable ring and give it a good tug. Now, I want you to go ahead and working up the actual stitches through the post and through the same color as the yarn you're weaving in, you want to make sure that you are threading your tail vertically as well. So I went up that post. I'm going to go down this one. I will work up this one. By taking your yarn through this path, you are ensuring that your tail has a long way to work through before it can actually come undone. I like to make sure that the tail is brought back to the start once I've woven in through all of the posts that I feel it needs to be in, and give it a good snip. Now that is not coming undone. You can see there at the start it was starting to come undone. Now it is not at all. You know how to do the stitch pattern repeat, you know how to change colors, you know how to weave in your tails now. The last thing that really makes this shawl pop is the tassel embellishment, both at the edges and the center. Tassels are huge right now, and I know a lot of people out there might be like, oh, I don't know if I want to add a tassel. I'm telling you, it really makes the piece. So let me show you how to make a nice, big, beautiful tassel. For this tassel, I am using a nice piece of foam board that I have just cut. It's really just a rough cut. You could use cardboard or whatever works for you. I've cut a slit up here and a slit down here just to hold the yarn in place. Now I'm using Chic Sheep in the color Mimosa for this example, and I will go ahead and just pop that yarn through that slit just to hold it, okay? Now what I want to do is I will wrap my yarn around. Now I will wrap as many times as I wish. The more wraps mean the fuller tassel I will get. So I am just going to wrap. And this is a great way to use up any extra yarn you might have. You can use all of the colors. You can use one color like I did. I will totally leave it up to you, okay? So I'm just going to make a nice pretty yellow tassel, and I like really big full tassels, so I am going to make this nice and full. Now I know there's a lot of different ways to make tassels out there. There's even different tassel tools. This is just one of those inexpensive ways that I thought it would be great to be able to show you how to make a tassel using some cardboard that you might have at home. So this is not the only way to make tassels, but it is a really cheap and easy way that I like to do. All right, once you get it as many wraps as you feel is necessary, go ahead and use that other slit. Haha, see how that works? And then I'm just going to snip that. Now, for me, this is where some people will go ahead and just cut the yarn and have it laid out. I don't like to do that. I like to take my tapestry needle, and I'm going to go ahead, you know what, so that you can see, I'm going to use a different color. So I'm going to use a different color yarn. And this is going to be my yarn that's actually going to hang my tassel, okay? So I'm going to use this yarn and cut some off, thread that onto my tapestry needle, and I just use the tapestry needle because it's easier to get through all of those stitches. You see that? So I just tucked it in, pull it through, bada bing, bada boom, okay? So this is where I will go ahead and I will tie this in place. All right. You want to make sure you do a couple nice really tight ties, okay? One thing that I like to do is when I tie it, I will wrap it around a couple times around that circle there. See how I wrapped it twice? So I'm going to make sure that's nice and snug. This is where I wish I had another set of hands here. Give that one a nice and snug. So now that that's kind of pulled, I could go ahead, and I think I will. I'm just going to thread this through again. I'm going to move this one to this side. I like to do this. I do this on my pom-poms too. And then I'm going to thread this one to the opposite side. Just find it easier with the tapestry needle, like I said. All right, so now I can give it another tug. Really make sure it's nice and secure. I do this, like I said, I do this with my pom-poms also. I just find it really secures things in place. Again, I'm going to go through this twice. Make sure it's pulled snug. Just really, look at that. I mean, that just really pulled it in really great. It's at this point now that I will take this off of the cardboard. So I will undo the little bits that are in the slit and just scooch this off. Okay, it might take a little bit of elbow grease, my mom used to call it, but you can do it, I promise. All right, so that's off. Now I have this really great bit of yarn. It's still in a circle, right? It's still in a circle. And I can decide if I want to cut that now or later. You can do whatever works for you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this now. So this is the top. This is the part that's going to dangle. And I will go ahead, grab all my ends here, and give them a good snip. Use a nice sharp pair of scissors. Try and make it as even as possible. It'll make it so that it's less cleanup for you later, as far as like making it all tidied later on. See, there might be a couple there. You can just grab those as they pop up for you. Perfect. Okay, so see, I have it all separated. Or not separated. I mean, it's in two pieces. And what I want to do now is I want to create sort of like, I call it the head of the tassel. So this is where I want to take yarn and I want to wrap it around this portion so that I get this really pretty head of the tassel up here. So I like to try and make this as straight and clean and just pretty as possible. Once you've done that, you will go ahead and take whatever yarn you want to wrap around the head portion. So I'm going to stick with this same dragon fruit color. And let's see here. I will start off by tying it where I want it to be. I think I want it down a little bit more. You can put it down an inch, 2 inches, not very much. It's totally up to you. Once again, this is your tassel. You do you. Notice I pulled that snug. I'm going to wrap these around again. I told you I do this all the time. It just makes it so that I get nice and snug pieces when I do it that way. So I like to do it where I'm just pulling it around one more time, giving it a tie again. Okay. Now, this is where I start to wrap. So I'm taking these tails, both of them, and I'm just wrapping around. Okay, wrapping around, get to a point where I can't wrap any more. Okay, what I do, again, bring my trusty tapestry needle into play, pinch those over the tapestry needle, pull those out. Now, I'm just going to tuck this inside here. Okay, so I'm just tucking it right inside. You'll see I'm going to pull it through. It's like through the center of the tassel. Those are nice and secure. If I wanted to tie those, I could do that, but I don't feel like I need to. I think they're nice and secure the way they are. I can either leave these longer, or I can snip them a little bit shorter just so that they're hidden just a little bit more. Now, if I give this just a little bit of a shake, I can go back. I can clean up anything if I feel like it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Evened out. Like obviously I have a longer one right there. And I'm just gonna snip it around. Just clean up just ever so slightly. You don't have to. You can leave them nice and scraggly. You can do whatever you want. But there you go. Now you know how to make a really great tassel. Now here's the cool part. These tassels are great on your actual shawls. Okay, see how great those are? Or you can use them and add them to other things that you have around. They make really great luggage tags, by the way, you guys. Just put it on your handle. You're good to go. And there you have it. You know everything you need to know to make the Shivering Chic shawl. This is a fantastic crochet project. It is on trend. It is fabulous with the color selection you have with Chic Sheep. And tassels, oh my gosh, tassels are huge. They are everywhere. You're gonna notice it now when you're at the store. If you make this wonderful shawl, please share with me. Use hashtag MarleyBird when you're on social media, and I'll be sure to come by and smash your like button. Okay, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you'll come back here for more videos on knitting and crochet and crafts. I'm Marley Bird, proud national spokesperson for Red Heart Yarns. Bye. Everything you need to know about knitting or crochet can be found right here on the Marley Bird YouTube channel. Learn with Marley Bird. Visit youtube.com/Marley Bird.